Since ancient times, scientists have recorded cases of hydrophobia in animals. This condition makes animals panic and become violent when they see water. If treatment is not given within 48 hours, the disease cannot be cured. Today, doctors know that hydrophobia is a major symptom of rabies. Late at night in Hawaii, a veterinarian named Doug checks on a chimpanzee called Ben. Ben looks very ill. Doug prepares an injection to treat him. When Doug turns around, Ben is no longer in his cage. Doug hears deep grunting sounds coming from inside the kennel. He steps closer to investigate. Doug tries to calm Ben by offering him a teddy bear. Instead, Ben suddenly grabs Doug's wrist and pulls him inside the enclosure. The chimpanzee attacks Doug violently. During the struggle, Ben slowly tears the skin off his own face. Newspaper articles later show photos of Ben when he was a baby. They explain that Ben was part of a scientific experiment meant to prove how intelligent chimpanzees could be. Ben amazed researchers by learning how to communicate using sign language. He was able to understand and use more than 300 words. The study was led by a professor who strongly believed in animal intelligence. Sadly, the professor later died from cancer. The story starts 36 hours before the attack. A college student named Lucy is boarding a flight back home to Hawaii. While getting on the plane, Lucy bumps into a man named Drew and drops her teddy bear. Drew tries to apologize, but he does it in a very awkward way. Lucy later calls her sister Erin. Her sister sounds cold and distant during the call. After hanging up, Lucy talks to her best friend Kate. She complains that Erin has always resented her for being away for so many years. Kate tries to comfort Lucy. She tells her not to feel guilty, especially because their family has been through a lot in the past. Lucy is then surprised when she learns that Kate has invited another friend, Hannah, to spend the summer with them. As everyone settles in on the plane, Drew's friend Brad helps Hannah with her luggage. He is clearly flirting with her. The two start talking and eventually exchange phone numbers before the flight takes off. When the girls arrive in Hawaii, Kate's brother, Nick, comes to pick them up. He drives them to Lucy's house. Inside, they find Lucy's father, Adam. He is deaf and is in the middle of a business call. As soon as he sees Lucy, he hangs up the call and rushes over to hug her. He then welcomes everyone into his home. Adam talks with Nick and asks about his girlfriend. Nick explains that they recently broke up. Adam knows Lucy has a crush on Nick, so he hints that this could be her chance to make a move. Lucy ignores the advice and says nothing. Adam then admits that he has to leave for work. He tells Lucy he will be gone for a few days. He tries to apologize for leaving again, but Lucy calmly says they are already used to it. Lucy goes to check on Erin. Erin is still angry that Lucy was away for so many years and tries to ignore her. She uses a soundboard to say that she is busy. Lucy responds by using the same soundboard to apologize. Erin finally opens up and tells Lucy that she has been lonely. Lucy then pulls out her teddy bear. Suddenly, a hand reaches out and takes it from her. It is revealed that Ben is the family pet. Lucy hugs Ben warmly. Ben uses the soundboard to say that he missed her. After that, Lucy introduces Ben to her friends. Hannah is scared at first when she sees him. However, she starts laughing when Ben politely shakes her hand. Later that night, Hannah wanders the house because she cannot sleep and runs into Nick, who is looking at family photos. He explains that Lucy's mother was a linguistics professor who studied how humans and chimpanzees communicate before she passed away from cancer. And he flirts with Hannah by offering her a cigarette. Hannah continues exploring outside and finds a beautiful pool, where she discovers Ben staring at the water in a drooling, trance-like state. When she speaks to him and pats his hand, Ben suddenly snaps and violently grabs her wrist until Adam appears and uses a high-pitched whistle to calm him down. Communicating through his phone, Adam explains that Ben is simply uneasy around strangers before leading the chimp back to his enclosure. Once there, Adam finds a dead mongoose and realizes the animal bit Ben during a fight, so he decides to lock the chimpanzee inside for the time being. The next morning, Adam shows the dead mongoose to his daughters and explains that it bit Ben. He tells them he plans to send the animal's body for testing and will call a veterinarian named Doug to give Ben some shots. He strictly instructs the girls to keep the chimpanzee locked in his enclosure for the time being. Adam promises the family will have fun together once he returns from his business trip, and the group spends the rest of the day relaxing by the pool. That evening, the group relaxes together, but Lucy feels jealous when she notices Hannah and Nick sharing flirtatious glances. To expose Hannah's interest in other guys, Lucy suggests that she call Brad, the boy from the plane. Hannah thinks it is a great idea, but dares Lucy to be the one to make the call. After Nick also dares her, Lucy calls the number and leaves a voicemail. A moment later, the phone rings, and Lucy answers with a flirtatious comment without looking at the screen. She is embarrassed to find out the caller is actually Mick's mom, who was trying to reach him because he had not charged his own phone. Kate suddenly falls ill and starts vomiting, so Lucy helps her to bed, where they share a sweet moment with their matching heart necklaces. While Lucy is away, Hannah mentions Lucy's crush to Nick, but he admits he only views Lucy as a sister. Lucy then returns to catch the two of them kissing. At that exact moment, Doug the vet arrives to treat Ben and is brutally attacked, just as shown at the start of the story. Later, a thirsty Kate goes to the kitchen and finds the teddy bear on the table, assuming her friends are playing a prank. Suddenly, Ben appears behind her and lets out a terrifying shriek, causing Kate to flee and lock the kitchen door. As Ben growls at her through the window, Kate screams for help until Lucy arrives, and Kate warns her that something is seriously wrong with the chimpanzee. The girls enter the kitchen and find Ben gone, leaving behind the teddy bear soaked in blood. Hearing screams, they rush to the pool area, where Nick is struggling to keep the frantic chimpanzee away. Lucy calls Ben's name, causing him to step back, but he refuses to sign back to her. While Lucy distracts Ben, Nick sneaks toward a storage box to get a rope, but he accidentally drops a toy that plays a loud song. The noise causes Ben to panic again, so Nick quickly tosses the toy over a cliff to quiet the scene. Nick then ties one end of the rope to a column and prepares a lasso, but Ben becomes aggressive as Nick approaches. Lucy manages to calm Ben with a hug and successfully slips the rope around him. However, once Ben realizes he is being restrained, he lunges at Nick. The rope holds him back, but the force of the jump still knocks Nick to the ground. Aaron arrives and suggests they call either Adam or the vet, prompting Kate to dial Doug's number. Meanwhile, a heated argument breaks out between Hannah and Lucy after Hannah suggests that Ben needs to be put down. In the middle of the distraction, no one notices Ben began chewing through his rope. The group suddenly falls silent when they hear Doug's phone ringing from inside the enclosure, realizing that since he isn't answering, he must have been killed. Suddenly, Ben snaps the rope, tackles Aaron, and bites her leg. Nick rushes to her aid, grabbing the chimpanzee from behind and using all his strength to pull him away. When Hannah tries to run for the exit, Ben quickly blocks her path, trapping everyone. Remembering that Ben cannot swim, Nick leads the group as they all jump into the pool for safety. Ben rips off the remaining rope and growls from the edge, unable to follow them into the water. While the group works together to keep the injured Aaron afloat, they use Nick's shirt as a tourniquet to stop her bleeding. They begin to fear that Ben has rabies, realizing that if he does, Aaron must get to a hospital immediately. The group is trapped in the pool with Ben guarding one side and a steep cliff on the other. They scream for help, but the house is isolated in the woods, so no one hears them. Suddenly, Ben leaps across the water and lands on the far edge of the pool. Nick swims over and tries to push the chimpanzee off the cliff, but Ben manages to grab the ledge. As Ben climbs back up, he catches Nick and pulls him over the side. Nick falls onto the rocks below, where his head is crushed, killing him instantly. After the fall, Ben sits on the edge of the pool and begins to laugh, which infuriates Kate. She wants to attack him, but Hannah holds her back. Ben then leaps across the water again to block the exit and settles in to wait. Concerned for her injured sister, Lucy carefully climbs out of the pool to retrieve a floaty, and though Ben watches her, he doesn't move. She successfully gets the floaty into the water and spots a phone on the ground, but just as she reaches for it, the device rings and triggers another aggressive outburst from Ben. To save Lucy, Kate jumps out of the pool and screams to draw Ben's attention away. Once he charges at her, she dives back into the safety of the water. This distraction allows Lucy to snag the phone and leap back into the pool just in time. The girls try to call 911, but the screen is too shattered to use the keypad. They manage to open the recent calls menu and contact Brad and Drew to beg for help, but the boys mistakenly think the girls are just looking for a reason to party and treat the entire desperate plea as a joke. The girls are horrified to see that Ben has climbed onto the lights hanging above the pool. Suddenly, he reaches down and grabs Hannah by the hair, lifting her up. Hannah struggles desperately until a large patch of her hair is ripped out, causing her to fall back into the water with a bleeding head wound. In the middle of the chaos, the phone falls into the pool and is ruined by the water. Ben then produces a soundboard, the tool used for his communication studies, and begins pressing the buttons. He repeatedly forces the machine to say "Nick dead" over and over again, mocking the group with the news of their friend's death. While Adam is at an author event signing books, he receives a text message with shocking news. The dead mongoose tested positive for rabies. This is confusing because rabies does not exist in Hawaii, but the scientist informs him they are rerunning the tests to rule out any mistakes. Adam immediately tries to call Lucy, but she doesn't pick up. Back at the house, the girls have fallen asleep on the pool floaty until the sound of the ringing phone wakes them. Noticing that Ben is no longer by the pool, Lucy and Kate carefully climb out and sneak into the house to find a way to get help. Lucy spots Nick's phone charging, but as she reaches for it, she accidentally steps on a remote control. The TV blares to life, and the girls hear Ben reacting violently upstairs. Realizing the chimpanzee is heading their way, they quickly scramble to hide inside a nearby closet. Ben enters the living room, and finding it empty, begins a violent rampage. From inside the closet, Lucy quietly locks the door to stay hidden. Ben approaches the closet and takes a sniff, but he quickly loses interest and turns his aggression toward the TV, pounding on it until the screen shatters. The loud crashing startles the girls, causing them to accidentally knock over some items inside their hiding spot. Hearing the noise, Ben rushes back to the closet and begins tearing through the wooden door. He manages to break inside and peers into the darkness, but the girls successfully hide behind the hanging clothes. After a tense moment, Ben fails to see them and finally leaves the room. After waiting a few seconds, Lucy creeps out of the closet to grab Nick's phone. Suddenly, the silence is broken by the soundboard voice repeating, and she looks up to find Ben clinging to the ceiling. He leaps down and tackles her, causing her to drop the phone. To save her friend, Kate grabs an object nearby and strikes Ben, forcing him off Lucy. The girls scramble back outside and slam the door shut. Ben begins pounding on the door from the inside and reaches for the handle to force his way out. Thinking quickly, Kate grips the handle from the outside with all her strength. After pounding on the door, Ben briefly stops, and Kate lets go of the handle. Suddenly, Ben charges and smashes through the glass to get outside. Lucy runs toward the pool for safety, but as Kate tries to follow, Ben grabs her ankle and trips her. Hearing the screams, Lucy turns back to help, but she is too late. Ben brutally kills Kate by crushing her head with a heavy rock. As Lucy tries to flee again, Ben pounces on her and knocks her down. Hannah rushes over and manages to loop the lasso around Ben's neck, pulling with all her strength to distract him. Ben grips the rope to stop himself from choking and roars at Hannah, which gives both girls just enough time to jump back into the pool. Together, they tug on the rope from the water, hoping to pull the chimpanzee in with them. But Ben is too strong. He yanks the rope back and rips it out of their hands. Meanwhile, Adam continues to text Lucy during his meeting. When she doesn't respond, he decides to leave and head home. Shortly after, Brad and Drew burst into the house, disappointed to find no party. Unaware that Ben is watching them from the shadows, they split up to explore the home. Drew enters Lucy's bedroom and finds her phone covered in missed calls. He feels a presence behind him, but when he turns around, Ben has vanished. Drew sits on the bed and looks at an old photo of Lucy's mother with the chimpanzee, only for Ben to suddenly reappear right next to him. Terrified, Drew tries to look away, but Ben shifts positions to stay in his line of sight and moves closer. In a horrific response, Ben shoves his fingers into Drew's mouth and pulls with immense strength until he rips Drew's jaw completely off as he slowly bleeds to death. From the balcony, Brad spots the girls in the pool and starts shouting for Drew. The girls desperately try to quiet him and beg him to call 911, but Brad stops when a bloody jawbone lands right next to him. He picks it up, assuming it's a sick prank, but drops it in horror once he realizes it is real. Suddenly, Ben appears, forcing Brad to scramble behind furniture for cover. Brad grabs a shovel and attempts to fight the chimpanzee off. Down in the pool, the girls hear the violent struggle and see a box tumble off the balcony. Hannah climbs out of the pool and heads upstairs. There, she witnesses the gruesome sight of Ben killing Brad with the shovel. To escape, Hannah has to run across a floor covered in shattered glass, ignoring the intense pain in her feet as she flees back into the house. After snatching Nick's phone and a set of keys, Hannah sprints to the driveway and dives into a car. She tries to turn the ignition, but the keys won't fit. In the panic, she accidentally enters Drew's car instead of Nick's. As she moves to bail out, she sees Ben standing right outside the window, drenched in blood. She slams the door shut and locks it just in time. Hannah finally connects with a 911 operator, begs for help, but the horror peaks when she realizes she doesn't actually know the address. Outside, Ben holds up Drew's keychain. He begins rhythmically pressing the unlock button. Seeing that the electronic bypass isn't working fast enough, Ben glares through the glass one last time before moving to the rear of the vehicle. He pops the trunk and crawls into the back seat from the inside. Hannah screams and tries to scramble out of the driver's side door, but Ben lunges forward, dragging her back into the cabin as Ben brutally beats Hannah to death. When Hannah fails to return, she takes a tearful moment to say goodbye to the barely conscious Aaron. A grieving Lucy finally climbs out of the pool before heading toward the balcony. As she steps onto the shards of glass, she covers her mouth just in time to avoid yelling in pain. Despite her silence, Ben finds her anyway. Just as he is about to attack, the sound of Adam's car pulling into the driveway creates a diversion. Adam walks into the house, casually tapping on the wall. Ben begins to stalk him. Because Adam is deaf, he doesn't hear the chimpanzee's heavy breathing, but Lucy hears everything. She bursts into the room to warn her father, but Ben instantly pivots and tackles her. As she tries to scramble under the couch for safety, Ben drags her back by her legs and begins a brutal assault. While Lucy screams in terror and pain, Adam grabs a snack and heads upstairs. In a chilling shift, Ben suddenly stops hitting her. He calms down and gently grabs Lucy's hand, only to violently snap her bones a second later. Gasping through the pain, she jams her thumb deep into the open bite wound on Ben's shoulder. The sudden pain forces Ben back, giving Lucy just enough time to scramble back under the couch. At that moment, Aaron stumbles into the room and commands Ben to stop, and he jumps on her, savagely scratching her back. As Lucy scrambles to save her sister, Adam finally discovers the horrific reality of the night when he walks into his daughter's room and finds Drew's mutilated body. After Ben knocks Lucy down and prepares to finish off Aaron, Lucy hurls a bottle at his head to keep him back. The chimpanzee snaps, tackling Lucy and shoving his fingers into her mouth. In that split second, Adam appears and blows his whistle. Ben freezes, staring at his owner before lunging and sinking his teeth into Adam's leg. The two engage in a brutal life-or-death struggle. Lucy grabs a shovel and hits Ben over and over until the shovel breaks. Ben uses the chance to smack her in the face, knocking her down again. Adam manages to regain the upper hand momentarily. However, Ben overpowers the scientist and begins slamming Adam's head against the floor. When Ben pauses to growl at the girls, Adam reaches for a bottle. He shatters it against Ben's skull and drives it deep into the chimpanzee's chest. Ben collapses, and Adam pushes him off so he can hug his daughters. Suddenly, Ben wakes up and charges toward them. Lucy sees him coming and quickly pushes her family out of the way. They crash through the balcony and start to fall. Adam reaches out and grabs Lucy's hand just in time, saving her from falling. Ben keeps falling and lands on a broken box below. The sharp pieces stab him and finally send him to hell. Not long after, the police finally arrive. Aaron is then taken away in an ambulance to the hospital. Adam admits that he never should have left his daughters alone. Suddenly, Lucy hears a disturbing voice saying her name and gets startled. It turns out to be a police officer testing the soundboard. And the movie ends right here. If you enjoyed the recap, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.